this is how we do it.
You're listening to the Nasser Kyobe Show.
Nasser played not just high-level high school football. He was a logger at UPS.
Over the middle it goes, and the pass was complete, and he gets absolutely belted at the 40-yard line. The sideline erupts as Nasser Kyobe just exploded the wide receiver.
Did Nasser say things like, I'm sending you to outer space?
And as he got his momentum going, was chopped down. Nice tackle there from Nasser Kyobe.
Go Hawks.
How's it going, everybody? You're listening to another edition of the Nasser Kyobe Show. A reminder, you can catch all my podcasts on YouTube under Nasser Kyobe. So we got a great show for you lined up today. We are talking coaching rants and what is going too far. I got boatloads of great audio I'm going to play today, and it's going to be a fun show. So let's jump right into it. So what spurred this topic is after a post-game interview from Southern Illinois coach Barry Hinson, and a post-game tirade that he went on after losing 73-65 to Murray State. So let's just jump right into it, and here's some of the audio.
Oh, Marcus, off game? Off game? Yeah, so Marcus had an off game. Marcus was absolutely awful. That's about as PG rated as I can say it. He was awful. Our guards were awful. Our 3 starting guards had 1 assist and 7 turnovers. They must think it's a tax credit. It's unbelievable how our starting guards played. And let's talk about our big guys. 2 for 11. How can you go 2 for 11? My wife can score more than 2 buckets on 11 shots because I know my wife will at least shot fake 1 time.
Yes, the shot fake. That is why I've been dating my girlfriend for the last 2 years, because I know she can shot fake when I need it. Wow, so he lays right into him, and this is kind of uncharacteristic because he's putting names to things. He's calling him out completely, and he was not done there.
I'm struggling with this crew right now. They won't let me coach them. Anytime I coach somebody, they put their head down. We're soft. We've been enabled for whatever reason. I got a bunch of mama's boys right now, and we just won't buck up and bow our necks, and we got to get through that.
Okay, Mr. Henson, tell me how you really feel. Bunch of mama's boys, and again, I got one more cut. He is not done. This might be most upsetting to some parents out there.
To me, when you've got a young team, it's a lot like house training a puppy dog. You know what? When the dog does something wrong, bad dog. Well, I'm not going to hit him, and I'm not going to swat him, but bad dog, get on the treadmill. That's probably what we need to do.
Here's the thing. That's just a couple clips from it, but hearing this interview in its entirety, I have no problem with it. None. Not even a little bit. And here's why. I think we're doing a lot of coddling with some of our young guys, especially these college athletes. Let's not forget, these are scholarship guys. Okay, they're going to school for free for the most part. Not everyone. I know there's some walk-ons out there, but we are babying some of these kids. I mean, it's ridiculous. I was at a high school basketball game the other day, and there's so much entitlement going on now these days, and it's unbelievable. I saw a kid miss a three-pointer, come back down, miss another one, scream the F word, and then after all that, he came down, walked back on defense, and then later in the game, looked at the bench, completely ignored a call, and then shot a 3, and then is confused when he comes out of the game. And the coach is after him and all this stuff. And you know what? I'm not in the locker room with Southern Illinois. I'm not. So I don't know exactly what's going on over there. But maybe just speaking how he feels. It is tough to coach. And when you got a bunch of entitled kids who are running around just like anytime you say nothing to them, throwing their eyes back, dropping their head, being like, this is effing blank, I mean, I have no problem with it. He's calling his troops out. He's trying to rally the troops. And yeah, maybe some of that's on him, talking about how we can't coach these guys and you're the head coach and you should be able to do that. But I have no problem with it whatsoever. And before we get really far into that, I promise you some great audio. And where does Hinson rank on coaching rant blow-ups? I'm going to play about 5 cuts, and here are my favorite. And we're going to talk about the effect it had on all these teams after he went on this tirade. So here, this first one I'm going to play is Herm Edwards, the Jets coach in 2001, after they had just came off a loss earlier in that season.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
I love Herm. That fires me up every time I hear it. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. This was an answer to a dumb question by a reporter, but loved every second of it. And this Herm Edwards team, after this was blown up all over ESPN. This team actually did go on to make the playoffs, so it might have had a good effect. Let's listen to our good old buddy Jim Mora from the Indianapolis Colts in the infamous playoff speech.
Holy crap. I don't know who the hell we think we are when we do something like that. Unbelievable. 5 turnovers. One of them, we've thrown 4 interceptions for touchdowns this year. That might be an NFL record. That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful to perform like that. Pitiful. What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Playoffs? Playoffs? We did diddly poo offense. No, that was a different one. But seriously, no, this one, I mean, he got ass after a blowout. So they lost 40-21 to the 49ers in 2001. They ended up missing the playoffs, going 6-10. Worst season for Peyton Manning as a Colt. Didn't have a great effect on this one. I mean, maybe he just didn't have the horses to do it. But let's keep it rolling. I got another great one. This is Mike Singletary after a 2008 loss to the Seattle Seahawks.
We cannot make decisions that cost the team and then come off the sideline and it's nonchalant. No. You know what? This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school. I believe this. I would rather play with 10 people and just get penalized all the way until we got to do something else, rather than play with 11 when I know that right now that person is not sold out to be a part of this team. It is more about them than it is about the team. I cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it. I want winners.
Can't do it. This one was great, but I got to admit, when I was in high school and this went on, and I was a senior, and my coach played this all the time. Loved it. I mean, I started to get sick of it at some point, but it was great. I mean, he called out Vernon Davis, and look what Vernon Davis has become now before this. Unfortunately, they didn't have a great turnout to that season, and they did miss the playoffs. We're almost done. Here's another great one by our buddy Dennis Green in Arizona after a Monday night loss to the Chicago Bears.
The Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Whew, I'll never forget that one. Never forget that one. I'm pretty sure they're up 21. They're at least up 2 scores against the Bears, who went on to play in the Super Bowl that year, and they just completely fall apart. Matt Leiner's throwing interceptions. Edgerrin James is getting ripped. Ran back for a TD. I think Hester ran a touchdown back. So I feel their pain, Coach. I feel it. They, again, didn't make the playoffs, and they didn't have a great year. And here's probably my number one all-time coaching rant. And this is probably, I mean, excluding Bobby Knight, I don't have any of him on here, but this is probably the most explicit one I've heard ever, especially at the college ranks. And here's Augie Gerardo, a Texas baseball coach, after a loss.
All right. In 15 minutes, you guys will probably all be fine with this, okay? So I'll just sum it up this way, as fast as I can. That is the most humiliating game in the last 10 years I've been involved with. How can we get picked off at first base? How can you do that? The is that about? What do you think you're with there? This isn't about some game. This is about our lives. Don't you get it? Don't you get it? You don't have a choice. When I tell you to take, you take. Don't tell me you don't see it. Look, you understand? I don't give a like I said, 15 minutes from now, you don't give a you walk out of here. I gotta live with this embarrassing game the rest of my life. I have totally failed you guys. We got beat at every single part of this. Everything. Infield play, they 2-out hitting, everything. Totally stupid. I'm sorry. I apologize. I have totally let you down.
Whoo, coming in hot. Oh my God. I think I counted. I got at least 12 F words in there. And the ironic thing about this is Texas, this is on a documentary, Texas goes on to win 10 straight games in a Big 12 championship after this game and after this tirade. I guess after hearing all those, an interesting perspective, I guess I'm going to give you now. So of those 5, not including Hinson, those rants, 2 of the 5 teams made the playoffs. So it kind of opens up the question of what's the effect some of these have. I think rants like this lose power if you do it all the time. If you play for a coach that MFs you every single day, every single practice, it loses effect. Kids start rolling their eyes, putting their head down, and just tuning you out. I know that from experience. My freshman year in college, RD coordinator, I've been MF'd all up and down the practice field for an entire team session. So I know what that is, and by the end of the year, I tune them out. You know, I think there's some effect that calling your guys out has. I think every team through most seasons needs to have a coming to Jesus moment, and they need to just wake up and realize this is hard. You're not going to get handed everything. You're not going to get coddled. And the reason I don't have a problem with Hinson too is because, okay, yeah, maybe I guess call those players out by name, whatever. He's challenging. I've no problem with it because I think we're all becoming so soft, S-O-F-T, soft. I think the way that we let our kids I coach in high schools. I don't have any upper level, coaching experience. I played Division III college football, and I was a DB's coach in high school. But just listening to all the stuff you hear from parents, it's just like, oh, they're the ones half the time MFing you about how their kid's not playing. Well, why don't you come to practice? Your kid's not playing for a reason. Or you got kids just being too cool and not working hard and expecting everything to be given to them. Well, you got to work hard. You're not in high school anymore. Going off of Hinson, it's time to go. And Southern Illinois has a pretty good history for basketball. They've been very competitive in NCAA tournaments, and the AD came out and backed Hinson right away, and I applaud him for that. I think the generation we're raising is a bunch of entitled, soft kids that can do whatever they want. And yeah, they're college kids. They're not being paid to play. A lot of these guys are on scholarship, and it's college basketball. This isn't Snow King. This isn't youth club. It's college basketball. Let's go. Okay? Yeah, you want to have fun, but you're here to win. It's about winning. That's why you're playing competitively. That's why we keep score. And I know it's tough. I know it's a grind every day. But I don't have a problem with it. If Hinson comes out every post-game conference and says stuff like that, then yeah, it's going to lose its effect, and then I would have a problem with it. But I think we're just babysitting players way too much, okay? I don't think he crossed the line at all. If you're going to think anyone crossed the line, it was the audio I played of Aki Gerardo. But you know what? It happens all the time. It's just not always on a press conference. From high school to D1 all the way up. I've played and seen coach. I've seen guys get MF'd on the sidelines and just bad time. It happens everywhere. It's just not always in the press. But I think a lot of times we're just babying kids. And I think the parents have a lot. It comes back to the parents a lot too. Obviously, if I'm a parent and I haven't had a kid yet, if I see my kid getting cussed out like that, I'm probably not going to like it. But then I'm going to think when I was playing, sometimes it needs to happen, I think. And which makes me think, I can't believe Tony Dungy coached the way he did. How he didn't yell, he didn't cuss, he didn't do none of that. And somehow he won a Super Bowl, a lot of winning teams. But for the most part, I don't know any guys that can coach at that level or any other level and not get fired up and call their kids out. I don't think it crossed the line. I don't think, when you talk about crossing the line, you talk about Rutgers basketball coach Mike Rice putting his hands on players. Calling them homophobic stuff, kicking them, throwing balls at them, stuff like that. I've been on JV teams where guys got balls thrown at them, And I remember thinking of these crazy coaches that I had. I'm like, God, that guy's a dick. Can't stand him, blah, blah, this and that. And then afterwards, I look back, I'm like, no, he was a great coach. We were 19-1. We learned it's not always going to be a happy existence. You're not guaranteed to win. None of that. And looking back at a lot of those experiences, I think a lot of it was good for me. Not all of it is. Some coaches are crazy and they do stuff that makes you want to quit. You lose fun in the game, all that stuff. But as far as people going out and killing Henson, I think that's wrong because I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he spoke how he felt and how a lot of us coaches want to speak. A lot of us coaches want to do that after some games, and you just go back in the locker room. You just want to be like, man, and just lay into them because that's how you feel, especially when you have some pompous, arrogant kids a lot of the times who've gotten everything handed to them and don't want to work hard. And so I just think I don't think he's in the wrong. He's not putting his hands on players. I think that's when you cross the line. I think lines can be crossed, and I think he teetered it. I don't think he crossed it at all. I have no problem with it. And some people are going to be like, well, I can't coach him, blah, blah, this and that, and that's a you problem, coach. And it might be eventually because once you lose your team, it's over. And you got to be careful in post-game meetings and stuff like that because sometimes you might ask questions you don't want to hear the answer to. But I don't have a problem. I think he's right on point. I think if I'm a parent and I want my young kid being molded, tough, mental toughness, extreme desires. It's not going to be a happy existence all the time. It's a grind. You got to work your ass off. You go to practice every day. You're going to class, and I just don't have a problem. I think we got to stop babying our kids, and it's time to play. You're playing premier top line sports. You're playing Division I basketball. Okay, you're playing Division I basketball. Like, let's go. And I can talk about that all day. I just think it's one of those things where we need to realize that we need to stop babying our kids, and not all that's bad. Okay, you can't do it all the time, Coach Henson, but it's something that needs to be done. And there's Pac, so that means show's coming to an end. Here's just some final thoughts on the show. I think there's a line, and Barry Hinson did not cross it. These student athletes aren't children and need to be called out sometimes. I think there is a line. I don't think he went Mike Rice. Some coaches do things different ways, but I think Hinson in no way was wrong. But we'll see for another day. They are 2-8. We'll see how the season ends and if there's any improvement and if there's other stuff we don't know about. But until then, we'll have to wait and see. But for another episode of the Nasser Kyobe Show, it's been a great show. We played some of my favorite audio. And just remember, guys, these are some adults. I know they're not being paid, but let's stop babying them. You're playing Division I sports. Like, it's time to go. But with that being said, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for listening. Make sure you catch all my podcasts on YouTube under the Nasser Kyobe Show. Till next time, guys.